Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer video. A new DLC and patch cycle is upon us, and with that we normally see changes to the playable map in both Mortal Empires and Eye of the Vortex. So with this video, I'd like to take the time to check out all the changes and showcase it for you all. Before we begin, please bear in mind the following. While I have been granted early access in regards to this DLC cycle, there are certain things that I cannot show just yet, so I won't be clicking on any specific areas to do with the new legendary lords, but we will look at them from afar. So with all that being said, let's not waste any more time and jump right in. You would have already noticed some changes on screen on the world map for the Mortal Empires campaign. You can see that new forests have been added in, where 4 new regions have been added in for the Wood Elves specifically, but let's look at them directly. The first of the new regions is that of the Griffinwood, a wood elven settlement which acts as its own provincial capital and no other minor settlements. This is Bertsche's start position and can be found on the eastern reaches of the Empire, surrounded by Ostermark and Talabecland, meaning that early on, Bertsche will be fighting humans, Skaven, undead and orcs. You'll notice that this area is also considered a magical forest. Any area which is inhabited primarily by wood elves will also be considered a magical forest, very much like the territory of Laurelon Forest itself. To the south of the Empire is the Forest of Gloom, right in between the dwarves of Karazakarak, the Border Princes and Barak Var. This is not a starting position for any faction. However, the inclusion of yet another greenskin faction, which could potentially be a threat to Karazakarak, might present a problem for the dwarf players, as we are aware that the orc factions generally try to congregate around Karazakarak as fast as possible. The next area is the Witchwood, in the far eastern portions of the map. This is the start position for the Sisters of Twilight. As can be expected, you're going to start your campaign with mostly Dark Elves as your enemy, though there are some Skaven factions, Beastmen, and that random Tomb King faction which still makes no sense to me as to why he's there. As we are aware that this is the Sisters of Twilight start position, we can discuss this a little bit. You won't see other Wood Elves for a while, barring the fact of obviously teleporting, which you can do. The benefit of this is that you're surrounded by a large variety of enemies, including Lizardmen to the south not so far away from where you begin, and a High Elf invasion force where you can see who has the better arrows. In the already extremely bloated lands of Lustria, we have a new region in the form of the Sacred Pools. Don't worry, this isn't a Wood Elf start position, but you will eventually want to take it over. A NPC Lizardman faction will begin, and there's not much to explain. This is Lustria. You're surrounded by Lizardmen, and did I mention more Lizardmen? Yes, there are some other factions in there too, like Skaven, Vampire Coast, and Imperial, but generally they won't last too long. And now the big question on everybody's mind, is there an expansion to the map? Where I can now confirm that yes, there is an expansion to the map on the eastern fringes once again. 2 new complete areas have been added in to the far east of the map, right at the beginning of what is considered the Darklands. Primarily, most of the settlements in this region are ruins, which obviously means Skaven, but you will also notice that a new Vampire Count faction has been added in, that of the Silver Pinnacle, one of Neferata's many hideouts, and what can be considered her main base of operations since the sacking of Lemire. Towards the northern reaches of this area, you can now travel through with your Forces of Chaos should you decide to play a Warriors of Chaos playthrough, meaning that you have a new option for when you start your campaign. With this, there is also a new path which you can travel through to Nashrak's lair, directly leading to Karak Kadrin. Not much changes in regards to the Eye of the Vortex campaign. As can be imagined, some magical forests have been added in, that of the Witchwood for the Sisters of Twilight to start in, and of course the Sacred Pools, to allow the Wood Elves another natural settlement that they can also take over and teleport to when needed. Of course, the grand majority of map changes would be expected for the Mortal Empires, especially since Bertsche is a Mortal Empires exclusive. Plus, there is a lot more areas that they can work around in the Mortal Empires than in the Eye of the Vortex, which admittedly is becoming rather bloated. Now, we're going to come back to the addition to the eastern fringes of the Mortal Empires campaign, purely because I want to speculate a little bit. Yes, I am aware that the DLC has only recently been announced, and yes, it's not out yet, but I feel like we can already discuss some things as a possible future. You see, with the addition of the Silver Pinnacle, and with various different DLCs in the past, adding in further vampire count locations, the areas that could be considered Strigoi, is this a hint that in the possible future, we could see a Vampire Count DLC, if there is more DLC left before we move on to Total War Warhammer 3? It just feels like there is a bit of a hint here, considering obviously now we have the Silver Pinnacle and we also have Morgheim. It feels like a hint towards the future. It could be possible that we could see one more cross-game DLC. Vampire counts versus, for example, Dark Elves, who currently don't have 6 playable legendary lords, where it's a possibility that we could see Yusharan as a playable legendary lord and Neferata as an FLC lord. Or Neferata could be a starting lord, as obviously Lemire is playable in the Eye of the Vortex campaign. I know some people are expecting Nagash to be the pre-order incentive, but I don't believe that will be the case. If anything, he'll be added in through the third and final game of the series, so it makes sense to do a Vampire Count DLC beforehand. But with that all being said, what do you think about the recent map additions? And what do you think about the possible addition of a Vampire Count DLC before the end of Total War Warhammer 2? But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various links to different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram and Discord. Also in the description section is an affiliate link with Element Games where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using that link and also our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A big thank you to Gibraltar LUSC, Ryan Bertsche, Andrew Prince and Okro for subscribing to us at our Fane level. You guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule, VS Vasan, Aaron Whitman and Shaggy for subscribing to us at our King level. Honestly, we can't thank you all enough. And lastly, a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing and commenting on these videos. Honestly, it's because of you guys that the channel has been growing at such a great pace lately, so we can't thank you all enough. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.